right, so I'm going to call this today's council work session to order. Today is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, and the time is now 3 p.m. First agenda on our item on the agenda is the clarification memo to public comments that from March 5th. So the first one was the definition of news media and if the council have a right to define news media. Response: the public meetings law itself does not define representatives of the news media. For the purposes of who may attend executive session under ORS 1926604, the Attorney General's office has issued several opinions, including AG opinion number 8291 dated April 18th, 2016. And the Attorney General's Public Record and Meetings Manual 2024, which advise local governments on how to interpret the phrase, the city's news media policy, adopted February 19, 2025, implements the Attorney General's guidance. Item number 2, why did another counselor and not the counselor assigned to the police bring forward the police chief position? The response: any city councilor or the mayor may direct an item to be placed on the city council agenda. Council Operating Rules and Procedures, Section 3, number 12, Order of Business, page 4. In this instance, Councilor Gunderson requested the topic be added to the agenda. Number 3, is the law firm that represents the city of St. Helens the same law firm that represents the St. Helens School District? The response: Jordan Ramus, through its attorneys, represents the city of St. Helens in its standing as a public agency. Jordan Ramus does not represent the school district or any of its individual board members. All right, and now that we are through that, we're going to open this up for visitor comments. So now is the time for visitor comments. The visitor comment period is an essential part of local government meetings. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. The council will take input into consideration. However, in observance to Oregon open meeting laws, it isn't the time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you. Our city administrator and city recorder are taking notes of action if needed and will follow up with you. Please make sure that you provided contact information on the sign-in sheet in the back of the room. And with that, I'll ask whoever to come up. And please speak your name for the record.
I can do that. Hello, council. My name is Dustin King. I'm a former police officer with Salem Police Department. I just want to make a clarification. Nobody at SHPD, including Chief Hogue or anybody that works there, knows that I was coming today. These words are mine and mine alone. The Salem Police Department is at a crossroads that will lead to impacts, positive or negative, that will be felt for years to come. You're coming off the heels of an improper hiring process for a former chief, where for the first time in decades, the agency didn't promote from within, leading to ethical violations and hostile work environments, causing many tenured officers, myself included, to seek work elsewhere. A valued patrol sergeant stepped down because he couldn't stomach the way things were going. A valued officer left the agency because it was going down a path that didn't align with his morals and his values. A damning report was released outlining some of those violations, which I pray the council accepts as fact. You can fix this, and you can fix this today. Council, you have the right person sitting here to steer this ship. Chief Hogue has over 20 years of experience here. As a loyal servant at SHPD, Hogue has held every position there is to hold at this agency. He's trained and mentored countless officers, myself included. Some have stayed, some have gone on to have extremely successful careers elsewhere due to his guidance. I'm in leadership of my current employer, and I often lean on Chief Hogue for his guidance for complex leadership problems, and he always provides sound, most importantly, ethical advice. He's an experienced investigator, patrol supervisor, administrator, and leader. He sits on the board of the Oregon chapter of the FBI National Academy. He's respected by every agency that surrounds us. He's worked tirelessly in his time as acting chief to repair the reputation at SHPD and return legitimacy and professionalism to your organization, which I can assure you was severely damaged over the past 5 years. There is no need for an evaluation period. There is no need to look elsewhere. You have the answer to your problem sitting right in front of you. As someone who always wanted to work at the St. Helens Police Department, and I never imagined leaving that agency, and I still love that agency very dearly, I hope you make the right choice tonight to keep SHPD on this path. Our community demands ethical, I'll say that again, ethical, professional leadership, which Chief Hogue can and has so far as acting chief provided. To me, this is a yes or no question. A motion needs to be made and let the votes fall where they fall. Thank you for your time.
Senator King.
Afternoon. Kelly Jo Smith, City of St. Helens resident. And this is,
Robert Brock.
we are here today to talk about bocce ball. So we would like to advocate for more recreational opportunities within the city of St. Helens. And bocce ball is something that is like shuffleboard or even bowling, but done outside and could easily be installed into one of your city parks. Would you like to say anything to
I
add?
do bocce ball in Special Olympics. It's fun.
How often do you play?
It's coming up pretty soon.
Bocce ball, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, there is a field up in Veterans Park in
Yeah.
Scappoose.
Veterans Park, and there's one over at Walmart, permanent.
We would love one in a city park where it would be open to the public. And that's why we're here today.
Yeah,
So we're gonna leave you this flyer. Is there anything else you want to tell them?
that's all.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay.
Parks Commission. Thank you, guys.
It's just this. Get to the. That's fine, I've done it.
Any other comments?
It's me. I lost tomorrow. There it is. At any rate, you still owe John an apology. I'm waiting for that with bated breath that you will apologize to John
Sorry, did you say your name for the record?
Brady Preheim. And so I'm waiting for that apology. I also couldn't agree more with Mr. King, who came in. It was clear at the last session that three of you wanted to promote the chief. And there was only one person who didn't, and that was Jennifer Murphy, and she's the one person that shouldn't have a comment about it. You are embroiled in the midst of the issues with the chief and the former chief and the disgustingly unethical behavior that occurred. And so if anyone that shouldn't you be taking their advice, it's hers. And so I'm hoping that at least Jessica here, who did say she wanted to build a statue of Chief Greenway, don't think you probably feel that way now. It's the opportunity for you to correct that error and make Mr. Hogue, Chief Hogue, not acting, but a permanent, and you need to do that immediately. And there's, like you said, there's no sense. The idea that you would have people evaluate him in the department, some of whom could in fact be part of the problem, is unacceptable. You need to move him and move today to make him the chief. In addition, I want to correct your correction to the record about executive session. Your attorney is giving you bad advice. I'm sure by now you have read the decision from the Oregon Department of Ethics regarding the executive session, and your information is incorrect. In fact, the information that you were provided in that report, which was on every one of you except for Jennifer Massey because it was on Rick at the time, shows that in fact Kohai and me specifically are in fact news media. The Attorney General has upheld that. They have cited the ORSs in that decision. And every day I got a call from the Ethics Department last week. Every day that you deny access to the session is a fine. And it is a fine that you will pay personally. It's not going to be a city fine. Your attorney's not going to pay it. It is a fine on you personally. And so every session that you deny executive session is a fine. And he reminded me of that today. And in addition, he reminded me that the Ethics Department doesn't view repeated violations kindly and that the fine can escalate. So that is something that you definitely need to take into account and change your attitude, because the decision is pretty clear that you're violating the executive session laws. You don't get to make those determinations on your own.
Hey, do we have anybody? No. Let's see.
Even Topaz. A quote from an American general. If freedom of speech is taken away, then the dumb and the silent will be led like sheep to the slaughter. It's having to do with the public comments and lack of freedom of speech by the laws of the state of Oregon. There's been a book just written by a newsman from the Herald Tribune about how freedom of speech, with the silly laws that have been enacted, has reduced freedom of speech. When they've been taken to court, they've always been overturned, but unfortunately the cost scares most people away. And the fact that the state of Oregon gives the power to each community to describe what freedom of speech is in the public comments, both in time and location, is basically against federal law. But it's another particular thing. If you live in city A, you have certain rules. You can have speak 5 minutes, you do this, you do that. You're an Oregon citizen, Americans. As you move to community B, and all of a sudden you don't have the right to do your public speech in community meetings. You've got to remember that even sending a single written note to a government official by the Supreme Court of the state of Oregon says that's an illegal public statement. And looking at the different counties and cities describing who can speak, when you can speak, or if you can't speak. Remember St. Helens ruled that water flowing uphill is okay. Within 100 yards of here, we had the last public hanging of an innocent man. I don't think the different cities are qualified legally to describe what public speaking is allowed. And the minute you say you've got 3 minutes, or Kathy Payne says your time is up, you're taking away somebody's freedom of speech. Thank you.
You state your name.
My name is Ron Tromlitz. April 2017, Sue Nelson lied to me, denying that the 2 million gallon reservoir was leaking 74,000 gallons a day. And that is my reason why I'm here for 8 years. The 2 million gallon reservoir rehabilitation was engineered by a hired professional, Kennedy Jenks. The plan was designed using old photos and historical drawings. No interior access was allowed, because the city wouldn't drain the reservoir. This was a serious issue. No concrete testing, lacking due diligence. This was Western Partition starting construction with misleading information, and which led to future failure. The perfect storm. Decision not to test the concrete for prior concrete surfaces. The failure to test and diligence. The reservoir was a casualty of the city's actions. The city hired Walker Consultants to investigate use, cause, and responsibility for failure. The report would have had the content, choose closing clause and responsibility. This report I questioned and was only denied. Walker did the preparations for mediation. I think the city realized litigation it wouldn't be feasible. Walker exploring the reservoir would not disclose the evidence. This would require examining the reservoir's contract file. All people would want to know why and need an explanation for failure. John Walsh is withholding the report claiming client privilege. John Walsh's client privilege is hiding the truth and abusing public trust. The reasons that might be crude was the lack of diligence, lack of oversight, poor judgment, city's actions involvement, hidden evidence, reputation damage, embarrassment, self-protection. And then there's the realization that litigation would fail. The choice was then mediation. My involvement, November 16th, 2022, was receiving a message. You need to stop probing the reservoir failure. You are irritating people who are considering suing you, and you face losing all you own. My only regret I would had was if I had failed to remain silent, if I had remained silent. My concern is what parties are concerned with what I find and disclose. April 22nd, John Walsh signed a settlement agreement.
You're over time. Can you wrap it up?
I can't hear
Can
it.
you wrap it up? Because you're over time.
Can't I have just a few minutes? Because I'll never come back again. I'm done.
We need you to hurry up.
John Walsh signed a settlement agreement documenting Western Partition's no liability for the 2 million gallon reservoir cause and responsibility failure. Concrete core samples taken May 24th, 2022, the resulting documents, the concrete delamination was present in 2016. St. Helens released a courtesy article printed September 18th, 2024 in Tillamook that I discovered.
We really need you to wrap it up because if I allow you to go on, then I have to allow other people. So we need to stop.
2 sentences. You'll never
Two
see me.
sentences and that's it.
St. Helens released a courtesy article and I found in September 18th, 2024 that I discovered. I believe in sharing and sending, and I'm responding to the article. Western Partitions was not the reason St. Helens has a derelict reservoir. Thank you. Sorry,
Thank you, Ron.
but I won't be back.
Right. So we're going to move on to discussion topics now. So we have the review draft of the monthly report for council template. City Administrator, John Walsh and Kathy Page. Where do you want to take it?
Laboring more on that.
So we took the original one that we had drafted up and your recommendations to the management team, and the management team, we discussed it thoroughly and felt that we wanted to narrow it down a little bit so it wasn't 3 pages long. So we picked the highlights of what would be in a monthly report. So it is basically general operations. So that's going to be like what kind of main things that each of the different divisions are doing. And then any type of staffing or personnel changes coming or going. Any kind of projects that are ones that are ongoing and status of what those are. And then also upcoming projects. A lot of the stuff you're going to see in the council goals or the strategic work plan. And then the next one is upcoming upcoming events and important dates, just to keep the council informed.
Did you, so this was reviewed with the other staff as well, staff like department heads, and this was acceptable to them?
Yes.
That's great. Thanks, get a chance to review it. Yeah, I thought it's simple, to the point, highlights the areas, and if it's not gonna be overly burdensome to the staff, I think it's a. You have an opinion on it, John?
It was it's fine.
Cassie?
So this would then take effect next month.
Yeah, it's on the agenda to be approved tonight, and then we would start using it next meeting.
Thank you for putting all the work into that. All right, report from John Walsh.
So early in the meeting here, yeah, I thought this would be a brief after returning from vacation here a few days ago, but it's been quite a busy week, and work didn't stop. I want to talk about the Columbia Economic Team. I sit on that board. Council has approved that. And just the success over the years as far as economic development, they're an extension of our economic development efforts here. We don't have a designated person to do economic development activities. But it used to be just industrial improvement, recruitment's pretty well. And under Paul's leadership, he's expanded that into not only that, because that's an important factor in getting the big ones, but it's also supporting local businesses, also taking on countywide tourism as far as the destination marketing organization, which brings some of the state tourism tax funding to the region. And then the Knoll Business Development Center, previously, businesses that needed support would have to go to Lloyd Center if they wanted to support. They have to drive and make an appointment. Now we have those resources locally, that they're thriving, they're being very well used. One of the other things we took on and partnered with them was this Growing Rural Oregon grant, which supports local entrepreneurs, and that's just been a huge success. And Mayor, thank you for attending last meeting to see how that all works. But yeah, just a lot of good work, and part of that Keep It Local campaign is also housed there for supporting small businesses. And you'll see signs around the downtown that we've partnered with them to do wayfinding, directional signage during this kind of wind down of the construction project. The orange signs kind of get visible after a while, so you'll see some fun and exciting, characters with captions, and people that haven't been here, they say, wow, it's really inviting. I can see and get them in and out of the area, because it's not completely intuitive the first time you come in. So Sierra Trass has done that, worked with the work staff, and it's fresh. It's a lot of compliments. On the budget front, meeting with all the department heads, Lori and I and Jen Johnson individually to go through their budgets to get them prepared for this preliminary budget or the proposed budget. We have a couple more meetings this week, and then we'll be wrapping it up and getting ready for that first budget meeting in May. We haven't had an urban renewal meeting in a while, so we're planning to have one April 2nd. In that meeting, we will elect a chair and a vice chair. There's a budget amendment to clean up the financing for the Riverwalk and the Streets and Utilities project too, so that'll have some administrative things, and good to have a meeting. So we had a constructive meeting with DEQ yesterday on getting the Bill property moved along. We're working on the environmental issues that are kind of delaying the Arcadia project closing. So we've got some good traction there. We're feeling good about that. They're thinking May is going to be the transaction time. So that's feeling good. Times well with our budget. It'll be good to get the property back on the tax rolls, connected to city utilities, and getting people jobs back and locally to go to work. So I just an hour ago met with PGE and Business Oregon, discussed the substation project at the mill. There's a lot of circles there to kind of bring together to get this grant. It's a loan/grant. It's about $15 million that we're going to be working with PG to build a new substation on there. And a big chunk of that is grant money. So yesterday I met with NASME and their leadership team and kick off on union negotiations for this year. We also have the Police Association, which meetings are going to be scheduled forthcoming, and look forward to those negotiations. In both of those, usually the contracts are timed, but we did a 5-year with the police and a 3, so they rolled together. So we're doing both of them. Take a look at the compensation analysis. We've engaged with a firm that is going to look at the wages and benefits and how they compare with their comparables. And there's statutory comps that are based on population. There's, so many above and so many below your population.
Market analysis, right?
It's very much like a market analysis, but it's actually in the ORS and how that process works. And so it's very defensible. We'll scroll down there for a minute. Later this evening, we're going to meet with Walt Foster and Alonji in our special meeting to talk about the river, the Central Waterfront Project, the wastewater lagoon. That's a project we've been working on for more than a decade and moved it along with grant funding piece by piece to explore the opportunities for repurposing the lagoon. And we're at a crossroads, and we'll talk more about it tonight, but looking forward to getting to a point where we can share that with you. As the river walk and street projects are winding down and getting closer and closer, we're internally attempting to plan a grand reopening kind of celebration. Trying to find the right date for that. Sometime 13 nights and 13 night 4th of July, somewhere in there. So we're focused on that to celebrate our successes and decade of work that's gone into getting where we're at today. It is something to celebrate. So. Mohammed and Sharon are going to Salem tomorrow to the Water Caucus. They're going to meet with both our senators and representative, as well as attend the full day water meeting. And that's all aimed at getting resources for the reservoir and our sewer capacity needs.
On what already they sent in, or is this something additional?
It's supporting that.
Okay.
Well, that was a federal request. We have a federal request pending. There's also the state request, and that's advocating. That concludes my report.
Oh. All right. All right, so now we are going to go into recess. We're going into an executive session under real property transactions under ORS 1926602E. Exempt records, confidential attorney-client privilege memo under ORS 1966602F, and consult with counsel potential litigation under ORS 1926602H. So if everybody will need to vacate the premise at this time.